I've come to learn that my most important relationship is with my mind. And there are two subjects there. There is myself, and then there is my mind. And for the longest time, I really confused the two. I think one of the most interesting things about being on the spiritual path and integrating wisdom that has arisen from the East is the ability to separate who we are from our thoughts. I mean, our mind has evolved to handle the complexities of life, contemporary life, and its various kind of jungle gym requirements in terms of climbing around and getting around and going up and under and over and, just all the very entanglements that you can get caught up in the world. But there is a witnessing self, and you can observe your thoughts. And that witnessing self, I believe, is your true self, your spirit self. You can just observe your mind and what it's up to and where it's going. And some people, through drinking alcohol or drugs, certain drugs, have experienced a no-thought kind of space. Or perhaps late at night when you're really sleepy, just too tired to think, and you just feel, and you're just present for that little bit before you fall asleep. And these are glimpses of that state that's more achievable. And a lot of people, a lot of writers and spiritual teachers are trying to figure out how to develop less thought. And I believe that one of the most effective things we can do to develop less thinking and more presence is to resolve inner conflicts. If we're conflicted about anything in our life, we have to figure it out. We have to decide which way to go. And a lot of people are conflicted about relationships. There are many people involved in acting out. What's called acting out is about dealing with unresolved traumas and dramas and grief and issues in relationships through acting in certain ways that represent past problems. Push-pull behavior, like, don't like, setting someone up to play a role that represents somebody from your past that is somebody with whom you have unfinished business and so forth. And as you become more clear about who you are and you've dealt with the relationships and issues of your past, you'll find yourself less drawn towards relationships with people who aren't really able to have relationships, people who just act out. And instead of, saying, oh, I've been really busy, or, that's the biggest one that people use. Just deal with the relationship, and if you have to end it, that's okay. If it's not fulfilling, that's okay. Some relationships fade away, some need direct communication to end them. But if people aren't in a place where they can really be a healthy part of your life, then don't just avoid them and manage them and step around it. Let go. It's hard to let go because we want all of our relationships to work, but ultimately relationships can create a lot of discomfort and pain and inner conflict in your life if they're not healthy. And people have to do work on themselves a lot of times, unless they're raised in completely conscious families. And I heard a statistic lately, it depends on how you define this, but 85% of families are dysfunctional in some way, which I believe, and it's probably higher than that. Unless people are raised consciously and born into this world without heavy karma, which is rare, then they're going to have stuff to work through. And if they're not working through stuff, then you're going to feel a lot of tension and discomfort about that relationship until it's dealt with. But when you deal with things, your mind feels more at peace naturally. there's nothing for it to chew upon so much. It can always find things, and that's where, identifying more and more with your witnessing self, observing your thoughts, and just telling your mind to be quiet, and just, observe it being quiet, and expand upon the times that it is quiet, and lengthen those periods by just letting it be quiet and being with what is. You don't have to fight against your mind. You just have to come to a more deep understanding of what it is. It's a tool. There are situations that may arise in which you have to think about things. Make a choice. Do I want this kind of cereal or that kind of cereal? Or whatever. But it's really just a tool, and you can let go of it, and even communication can occur without a lot of thinking. For example, when I do these videos, I'm not usually thinking very much. I'm just kind of letting myself speak. I'm letting myself flow with thoughts that come naturally to me without thinking like, what should I say next? What should I talk about next? And all of our interactions can become more flow. And I've had this experience with writing too. When I started writing, I wrote fiction. And I'd think a lot about, what's going to happen next, and what should this character do or say, and how should I describe the setting, and that kind of thing. And then my writing, as I studied spirituality more and just became more aligned with my true purpose, it just came out of me. Ideas would arise, and I'd write them down, let them come out. And our whole life can become that flow kind of experience where we're not thinking, and filling our, head with chatter. We just naturally flow from one experience to another when we're not conflicted. So these are the reasons why I think that our most important relationship is with our mind. Our external circumstances can be wonderful, or they can be great. Our relationships can be wonderful, or they can be great. Or I said wonderful and great both times. So that's a problem with not thinking. Our circumstances or relationships can be wonderful, or they can be horrible. And either way, your discomfort, how you feel internally, is related to your thoughts. You can be suffering greatly, regardless of what's going on around you. If you are obsessing or beating yourself up, ego is a tricky thing. It wants to stay in control. So allow yourself to come to peace with the thinking process and allow more silence into your process so you can experience more presence and find that you don't need a lot of drama, you don't need a lot of information and activity and being on the go and always doing things to feel something. A lot of that distraction-based behavior is really about just getting away from an internal gnawing, lingering sense of suffering. And when you just allow yourself to feel what you feel and think less about it and stop giving yourself messages about how screwed up you are, how screwed up your life is, and those kind of self-defeating messages, then there is a peace underneath it all, and it awaits us if we're ready to access that.